Hello and welcome to CBIT. My name's Charles. Today we're going to be building a custom gaming machine for one of our customers. This is going to be a nearly all white machine. We have got the Gigabyte B650, our Elite AX Ice Edition. This is the AMD AM5 socket motherboard, and it is all in white. We've paired that with an AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D to give them the best bang per buck for their gaming. It's all being cased inside a Be Quiet Shadowbase 800DX. This is a monster of a case, but it looks really nice. We've got a Antec Neo Eco 750 watt power supply, which is fully modular. We're going to have a Kingston Fury Renegade 1TB as the OS drive and a 4TB drive as a storage drive, which is what all these games are going to be installed on. We're also installing 64GB of Kingston Fury Renegade 6400 mega transfers per second DDR5 memory. And to top it off, we are installing a GeForce RTX 4060 Ti. Alright, let's get going. So first of all, start with the motherboard. You might have seen the review on this, and it is a very nice board. It's very chunky and it's got a lot of heat sinks on it to help with the cooling. So we're going to start off with the CPU, if I can get into it. There we go. So there's a massive box for a little CPU. That was a bit overkill on the marketing, I think. But like I said, it's a very nice motherboard and a very nice CPU. Together, these are going to make a wonderful combination. I'm just going to pop up the cover. And we're going to match the triangle up to the triangle. It is keyed as well, so it can only go in one way. Pop it down, lock it in, get rid of the protective cover. Next we are going to install the RAM. So this one, like I said, it's the Kingston Fury Renegade 6400 mega transfers per second, 232GB sticks. These are a nice silvery RGB RAM. Just got to get into the thing. There we go. I'm in. Nope. Let's install it in the right slot. So we're wanting it in the B1 first, so it's the third slot away from the CPU, and then we want, I was right the first time. I want it into B2 and then A2. It can only go in one way, so make sure you put them in the right way to start with. There we go. Now we're going to move on to the two M.2 cards. Like I said, we've got a 1 terabyte and we've got a 4 terabyte. Let me just find my little screwdrivers. So the first one, the 1 terabyte, is going to go in this first slot. That's the Gen 5 slot. Take it off carefully. Make sure I get the 1 terabyte one. And we just slide it in. It only goes one way. Pop it in, and there is a little hook, a little key thing here which automatically catches it, so it fits in. On the back of the heatsink there is a thermal pad, so we're just going to take off the protection for that, put it in the slot, and then just screw it down like so. Like I said in the review of this motherboard, there is another 2 M.2 slots hiding underneath this heatsink. So it's 3 screws to unscrew the heatsink, and it should hopefully just lift off like that. And this one's a 4 terabyte. I'm going to put it on the CPU slot. I want it as quick as possible. Whoops. Popping it out everywhere. It's exactly the same. Slot it in, push it down, and it clips in automatically. I do like that design. And again, we've got the cover has got the thermal pads on, so just want to make sure we get the right one, which is that one, and we can then just screw it back down. Let's get it part way in before I screw it all the way down. There we go. Now I can tighten them all up. So that's all in. Next we are going to put in the cooler. So the cooler is a Akasa Soho H7. Again, we've got a review on this one, or an unboxing on this one, sorry. Let's get this out and attached. Our customer didn't want to go with water cooling on this particular machine, so we've gone with one of the beefiest coolers which he liked, and it's got RGB. You'll notice that that is quite a theme throughout this build. First things first, we need to remove the factory fitted black bracket. On both sides. And in the box we should have a few different fitting options. We don't need the back plate because that's for Intel. We don't need the LGA 1700, but we do need These are all the ones. They just fit over the factory fitted rear shield. We then get the two smaller bracket adapters which we need, and these go with the little screw bit upwards and the pointing towards the middle of the CPU. We then need the long screws which have got the smooth bit at the top. And we just screw them in like this. I'm all fingers and thumbs today. I can't get any of these screwed in how I want them to. There we go. So now they're all in place, I'm going to tighten them all down like that. Now we can come to actually fitting the actual heatsink. Don't forget, on the bottom of it we have got a sticker which we do need to remove. Oh, look how shiny that is. There is no thermal pad on the bottom of this one, so we do need to use the thermal paste which comes included. And on this heatsink we've got some holes at the top here which we have to push the screwdriver through so we can get through to the little screws at the bottom, and they have put a bit of plastic over them. So let's take that off. We then line it up with the two screws which are facing upwards and put the screwdriver through. Hope this one's long enough. There is a screwdriver in the set if you haven't got a long enough one, but I'm using my own. I'll just screw it down till it's tight on both sides. It is spring loaded, so you can't over tighten them. Just keep going until it stops. I'm just doing alternate ones to start with. One side, then come back to the other to apply even pressure. Once you got your heatsinks on, we need to fit the fans. So there are two RGB fans in this set, and we need to work out which way we want the airflow going through the case. We will have it going front to back. So if I look on the fans, I'm hoping, ooh, there's a lot of cables, hopefully they've got directional arrows on them. Oh, and they don't. That's very nice of them. I'm just double checking just to make sure I've not missed it. Nope, no directional fan on these for what I can see, or directional indications. Let me just see if I can find anything in the instruction manual. Okay, there isn't, but by the looks of it we want the Akasa logo facing towards the front of the case, and we have got 4 little adapters to hold the fan into place. Let's have a look where we want the case cables going first before I fasten them on. Well, that's not going to fit above the memory. It's not going to fit above the heatsink. Right, it'll fit in the middle. That's not a problem. But we'll make it fit. There will be ways of us doing it, making it work for us. So all we do is we put the front bits into the holes, position it where we want it, and then actually let me do it. I don't want it where the cable's coming out. I want the cables on the bottom. So. Otherwise they're going to foul on the hooks. That's better. Get it in, and it then just clicks into the heatsink. We'll repeat on the other side. And that's our first fan in situ. Now I've got to try and work out how to get the second one in. So I don't want to block the RAM because it's RGB, but we've also got the heatsink at the back. It might just have to stick proud a little bit, which shouldn't be a problem. But I've just got to route the cables so they're not getting stuck anywhere. Of course, cable management, we want it as tidy as we can. This one is a little bit more awkward now, there we go, because we've got the other fan in place and we are mounting them slightly differently to the optimal layout, but it doesn't matter. There we go. That fan is in place. Let's just bring it up a bit. It's not level. There we go. That's now level. Luckily, with the case we've got, it is humongous. So having a little bit of extra height on the fans won't make any difference. That is now secured in place. So there are 2 sets of cables for each fan. We've got the actual fan, and then we've got the addressable RGB. Like I said on the review, we do have splitters for both the RGB and the fan, because we want the fan spinning at the same speed because it's one unit. At the top of the motherboard we have got the CPU fan, which is the grey one in the middle. So we're just going to connect the splitter to that, like so, and we are then going to connect the 2 fans to that. I'm doing this before we install it in the case, just in case we don't have a lot of space at the top of the case, but I think we will be fine. I fitted fans in like this into other cases, and it's been a bit fiddly trying to actually get to the cables to fasten them in. Next we've got the RGB cable, and we've got a long bit, and we've got 4 adapters on the other end. So I'm just going to plug it into the board, which is up at the top corner near the fan headers, and we are then going to remove the covers and plug in the fans. The case has fans as well, so we might be able to plug these into this same splitter to help with keeping them all in sync. Right. Next I need to fit this in the case. Bear with me while I get the case up onto the bench. Now I've got the case on the bench, we're going to see about getting the motherboard fitted. The motherboard I/O shield comes pre-attached, so I don't have to fit those into the case. Just need to fit this carefully into the case, keeping the cables out of the way. We will cable tidy them up or route them shortly. I've got to check to make sure I've got all of the standoffs in the right place. Oh, spot on. Right, now I have somewhere put in the box which has got all the bits in. There it is. Because I need the screws for everything. So the screws, oops, are falling out. So we have got different sorts of screws in the set, and for the motherboard should be these ones. The little ones. They all come in their own little packets. It's good for finding them, but I think not very good for the environment. It'd be better if you had just one packet for all of them. But there's not enough in there. Typical. Luckily I've got plenty. So I'm just going to start with the middle one. Just get that one in place. What doesn't want to go in? That's because the middle one is not a screw. The middle one actually is just a place for holding it in place. So there is the right number of screws. Again, I'm just going to put them in, but I'm not going to tighten them up until we've got them all in, just in case there's any small adjustments I need to make. Remember, you don't want to be grinding your motherboard over the standoffs. There are components on the back. Right, they're all put in. Before I tighten up, I'm just checking everything is lined up at the back. It is. They all fit in, so I'm just going to go round and tighten them all up now. I'm having some trouble with these middle ones. They are not screwing in. Just going to check something. It's the same on both sides, so it looks like those middle ones might be a different thread. It's weird. So I've got some slightly larger screws in here, thicker ones, and they fit in lovely. All the others have gone in absolutely fine. So it looks like the middle ones here and here are a different sort of screw. That's worth noting. Right, next we're going to go onto the power supply. We're going to get this installed. Okay, so now we're going to install the power supply, which is an Antec Neo Eco 750 watt power supply, fully modular. Again, we have done an unboxing on this, so if you want a bit more information, have a look at that video. I'll put a link below for that one. As with a lot of the cases nowadays, there's a hole at the bottom. Oh, what is it done? Hole at the bottom here for the power supply. Before I actually install it, I am going to add the cables. I'm making a right mess here with all these cables. So with this case having so many fans at the front, there is a power socket for SATA for the actual fans. So we will be having to plug that in. So I've actually got to install an extra cable. Finding places to hide the cable, I do not think it's going to be an issue in this machine. You could hide a submarine in this. So that's the 24 pin. And then got the CPU one. Make sure you plug it in the right way, because it has got the 4 pin and 8 pin on one end. You need to split it out. If you plug it in the wrong way, you won't be able to split it out. You've got the SATA one. I'm going to be installing this, so the fan is pointing downwards and it's going to be sucking cold air in from under the case. Right, I did have some screws and I've lost them. So it looks like the power supply is actually held in by thumb screws. So everything on here has got thumb screws, make it easy to move things down. Make sure you get all your holes lined up before you start screwing them all in tight. Might need to just give it a quick jiggle to get them lined up. Well, that one doesn't want to play ball. Try the one in the corner. There we go. Once you've got it started, tighten back up with your screwdriver. I know the thumb screws, but even with your thumb you're not going to get it that tight. We don't want it coming out. The case does have an option of taking the cover out to help it fit in that way. Now that I've done up all these thumb screws, we're going to start routing the cables. And we've got quite a few. So the first one I'm going to route is the 24 pin. And I'm afraid you won't be able to see this one at all. We have got this cable management bar there, which hides a lot of stuff. So I'm going to just thread it up behind that. And it connects in nicely. Let's just route the cables a bit better. The next one is going to be the 8-pin, which is a nice little hole at the top here. Make sure you get it the right way round. Just like that way. Try and get the cables flat if possible. Makes it a lot easier in the future. There we go. I'm going to check to see, because this has got an 8-pin and a 4-pin. I might have to put both in actually. So let me find out the other CPU cable. And as this is the 4-pin, I've got to separate them out. And adjust where the cables are as well. That's that one in. Get the one next to it in. Luckily, like I said, there is a lot of space to work in this, so I can get my hand in. If you have got a large hand, it might be a bit more awkward, but it is doable. Let's get the second cable up there as well. Luckily, this power supply does come with what we need. Twist it first. And even, like I said, even inside the top of the case here, there is a bit of space, but not a massive amount. So this is a little bit fiddly. I can't see what I'm doing. Just have to feel for it. Eventually I'll find out I've got the wrong half of the pin adapter. It's not fitting in. Let's try the other 4 pin. There we go. That one's going in now. And we have contact. Right. Next, I'm just going to hide the cables at the bottom out the way and just connect up the front fan connector. I'll come back and do a bit of cable tidying in a little bit. And the only other one we've got for the power is the graphics card. So while we're down here, we might as well cable in the other bits. I'm just going to thread them through the cable management hole. Most of them. The 4J I won't, I'll thread that through the bottom. Try and put this down so you might be able to see what I'm doing. So, hole at the bottom, I'm going to be threading the audio cable through, up, and connecting it to the motherboard at the bottom here. Like so. We have got a USB 3, and the USB 3 is here on the side. Bring that fan away. So it's here. So I'm going to route it up through the hole here and into there. Let's do that one next. Do it the right way, it will just slide straight in. Hopefully just like that. So it's the notch at the top and it just fits into the hole. So we do have USB-C on the front of this case, and the USB-C connector is here. So again, I'm going to bring it up the cable management hole and just plug it into there. So it's not the easiest thing to see. I'll just try and turn it around and see if we can actually show you a little bit of it. So threaded it through, and then we're just going to slot it into that port on the board like that. It is key to let's make sure I get it the right way, so it can only fit in one way. There we go. That one is now in. So what have we got left? We've got the... I've lost them all. They're all hiding from me. Here we go. So we've got the front panel connections for power and everything. We have got this little connector block, which I've just written the packaging in half for with instructions. But this will make it a lot easier for fitting everything in. So on here we've got the options in here. So you've got your power, LED, hard disk drive, we've got another power LED, power switch, and all we're going to do is we're just going to slot the options in the right place to start with. Power switch plus, minus. Have we got a plus and minus on these? No, let's slide it in there like that. And we've got power, LED, plus and minus, and they just fit in there like that. Right. So there is no reset switch on this case, because the actual button is for the lights, not for the things. But now we've got that in, again we can pass this through the cable management hole. Actually no, we're going to come up from the bottom on this one, and it's just going to slot in, and you know all your pins are going to be in the right place before you, without having to check it. So it just goes in like that. Nice and easy. We're now going to install the graphics card, which is the RTX 4060 Ti. Again, we have done an unboxing on this, so if you want to check out our other videos, you'll see what it is. Okay, so it is a double slot GPU, so we just need to remove the correct things on the back so we can fit it in. Again, they have got thumb screws, but they're a bit tight, so just use a normal one. And in this case you might have to loosen off the one below it because it looks like they've got caught under the screw. don't forget on the graphic code you need to remove the little plastic protection cover and it'll just slide in. The USB-C cable does get in the way slightly, just be aware of that. And it just pops in. Right. Just going to screw that one in. Now that we've screwed that in, we can route the power for this one. Hide it underneath. So using our little cable management bar, I'm just going to bring it through. I'm just going to plug it, the 8-pin PCIe power adapter into it, if I can get it through. There's no easy way of routing this, so it's just got to clamp the hole. So essentially, that's this machine built. What we need to do now is we're going to go through and tidy up all the cables, get it so all routing in the right place, everything is connected. We've now routed all the cables. We did have to change some of the fan headers, which we plugged the fans into, to make it so that all the cables should fit without having extensions in and make it nice and tidy. I haven't turned it on yet, so turn it on and see what we get. Hopefully something. Helps if I turn it on at the plug. Well, we've got lights on. Let's see if we get anything on the screen. Well, I do like that lamp. We have got something. Make sure this is an HDMI. I've seen it on the screen. Okay. I'm going to reset the FTPM because it's a new CPU. Right, so we're going to set a few things up in here. Let's see, we've got the CPU fan. That's running and they're blowing the right way. Yeah, all the fans are blowing the right way. So we've got CPU fan, that's on. We've got fan 1, which is at the top here, which is one of the back fans. We've got fan 3. Not sure which one that one is. That's one at the bottom here. We've got fan 4, which is at the front, which is actually also the pump if we're having a water pump, which we don't. So there should actually be another system fan header. There is at the bottom here. But we don't need that one. That's fine. and that's absolutely fine. It's seeing both sticks of RAM, so let's enable XMP. Let's have a look what we've got. So XMP1 will take it to 6400, which is correct. So we'll leave it on XMP1. Let's have a look, see if we can see all our disks. We can see both the 1 terabyte and the 4 terabyte M.2, so that's fine. And it's recognised the Ryzen 9 as the 7900X3D. Okay, that's exactly what we wanted. So now we've changed the XMP, we're just going to save and exit and boot into the Windows installation. We are installing Windows 11 Pro on this machine. Going into the boot menu, so F12. Once it thinks about it. So it has got a lot of memory, so it's probably doing all its memory checks before it boots. It's got 64 gig. First boots are always nervous. There we go. So yep, we're going to boot from the Data Traveller. No, I was going to boot from the Data Traveller. There we go. Booting into the installation now. So once we've got it installed, we will go through and we'll just fully update it, check for any drivers, if we need any additional drivers, any firmware updates, and any software to help with the RGB. So making sure I select the 1 terabyte drive 0. I'm just going to leave that going through. I'm now going to set this up. I don't want to set up a user, so I am going to run the command to hopefully bypass. There we go. So I'm going to do OOBE bypass NOA. This is going to reboot the machine, and it will mean we do not need to set up the network connection, which then means we can set up a local user instead of a Microsoft account. United Kingdom, we're going to skip any additional layouts, and we're going to click I don't have internet. I'm going to continue with limited setup. Then we're going to enter the name. I'm not going to set up a password because then it asks us for all these other password settings which we don't need. We'll get the customer to set one once we've logged in. So let's take that out. Let's add in the secondary drive. Yep, so we're going to add the second drive in now, and we're going to do it as GPT, and we're just going to create a simple volume, assign it the D drive. There we go, we've now got 3.7 terabytes usable. We are installing the Gigabyte Control Center. This will hopefully give us all the software, or tell us what software we need for all of the RGB and managing everything. I'm not installing a lot of the bloatware. I'm hoping it's going to let me choose what bits I need. But this will also help with any updates for any drivers, firmware. As we've got a Gigabyte graphics card, I'm happy with that, and we've got a Gigabyte motherboard. I'm going to sync the motherboard, the graphics card and the RAM. We'll run some benchmarks in a little bit and see what the temperatures get to. I'm not going to be doing any overclocking, we don't need to, it's going to be a quick enough machine without that. So have a look, see what we've got for updates. We've got the RGB tool and RGB Fusion. I don't know why it's not downloaded the latest version, because we downloaded the one which it needed. So let that go through and download those updates. Let's have a look at what we've got for the devices as well. There's a few little bits in here, but nothing major. We've now completed this build. As you can see, it is a stunning build. We're going to run some benchmarking on this and just make sure that everything's working as it should do. All the drivers have been installed, and we've updated the firmware and the BIOS as well. So this is all ready to go to its new owner. If you like this sort of thing, don't forget to subscribe, like and leave a comment, and hit the bell notification so you can get updates for upcoming videos. See you next time.